Hey there, Seb by the Realtor here. In this video, I'm going to address the topic of highest and best offers. If you've submitted an offer on a property and the listing agent turns around, tells you there's multiple offers and you need to give your highest and best offer and you're wondering what to do, you definitely need to watch this video. All right, as you know, the Bay Area, Silicon Valley real estate market, it's very, very competitive, and it's very common for there to be multiple offers in on just about every house, or certainly the most desirable house is the one that you probably want to buy. And it's actually not uncommon at all for the listing agent to ask you for your highest and best offers, sometimes even before you submit an offer, but usually after you submit an offer, they'll turn around and they'll say, listen, we have multiple offers. The seller has asked for highest and best offers. Now, I've been selling real estate here since 2003, and the first time I can recall having this highest and best offer situation was when actually I was selling properties for the banks. And the banks, in foreclosures, you know, when they had multiple offers, they would always, every single time, ask the buyers to give their highest and best offer. So that was very common during the mortgage crisis when we were swamped with foreclosures. And I think at that time, the real estate community in the Bay Area in general said, you know what, that's real easy. Let's just do highest and best offers anytime we have a multiple offer situation. Now, it's a really tough spot to be in if you're a buyer because they're not giving you any specific price which you need to sort of like, you know, do your calculations against, right? It's really tough. Like, it's easy if they say, well, you know, we have 10 offers, we're doing a multiple counter offer situation, and by the way, we're going to counter you at like $1.75 million. That's your counter offer. You can either accept that or reject it or make some other counter offer to us. At least when you have like that specific price, you have sort of a number to sort of like, you know, decide where you want to go from there. But when you get the counter offer of just give me your highest and best offer, it's really tough to know what to do because you might already be the highest and best offer and you really have, you know, no idea where you need to go from there. But, you know, the thing is, even if you do get a multiple counter offer from the seller with a specific price, you might already be the highest and best offer. There really is no way to know based on a counter offer where exactly you fall. But again, I'm going to talk in this video specifically about what to do in a highest and best offer situation. So one key to winning in a highest and best offer situation is to have your realtor stay in very close communication with the seller's listing agent, right? That is very, very important because a lot of the times it really comes down to an issue of trust, right? The seller, not only do they want a high price, but they also want to have a high degree of confidence that the deal is actually going to close. And you get that confidence from having a level of trust. So if your agent, your buyer's agent, can establish a level of trust with the listing agent by having conversations, by finding out what is truly most important to the seller and crafting an offer that will best meet the seller's needs and giving the listing agent the feeling of confidence that, hey, you're working with a professional realtor who's really businesslike and they have a buyer who really, really wants to have that deal closed. That trust is established through good communication. So make sure that your realtor does a great job of not being annoying, but being persistent and open and clear in the communication with the seller's agent. Now, this next idea might sound pretty obvious, but the reality is you actually need to have a really, really great offer when you are in a highest and best offer situation. I say make your offer irresistible because what the seller is almost always looking for, and when I say almost, I mean like 98% of the time, the seller is looking for the best price, but they're also looking for certainty that the deal is going to close. So, you know, having that conversation that I mentioned earlier with the listing agent, that's going to help give them that certainty, but you also want to have certainty in your actual contract, right? So the seller is going to look much more favorably on anything which makes your deal seem like more of a sure thing, especially if your price isn't the very absolute highest price. So things like removing your inspection contingency, removing your loan contingency, removing your appraisal contingency. And I get it, that's very risky and very scary. But when you are in a highest and best offer situation in the Silicon Valley, most of the time, really, almost all the time, you're going to have to be giving up at least one, if not all, of those contingencies. You're also going to want to do things like shorten the amount of time it will take to close the property, to close the sale. You want to have that be as soon as possible. You're going to want to look at putting your earnest money deposit into escrow within 1 day, increasing the size of your earnest money deposit. Everything you can do to show the seller that you are 1,000% committed to getting the property and seeing the deal closed. That is what you need to put in the terms of your highest and best offer. Now, don't be surprised after you make your highest and best offer that actually there's some more negotiation from there. Now, when you put in your highest and best offer, you would think that, okay, that's it. The seller is going to take their highest and best offer, but that actually is not how it works sometimes. Quite often, a listing agent is going to use this highest and best offer strategy to separate the wheat from the chaff. Because let's just say that you have 10 offers in on a property. Of those 10 offers, probably really only like 3 or 4 are going to be really the most competitive. And when they do the highest and best offers, the weak ones will just sort of fall away. And you might be left with just, 2 or 3 sort of top contenders who identified themselves, in that highest and best offer process. And from there, the listing agent and the seller would, typically, although not always, attempt to, tighten up the terms of the offer, because it could be that there are some specific terms in the offer that were not quite to the seller's liking, and there's nothing that says the seller can't then turn around and then do a multiple counter offer to multiple buyers, or just work with one buyer on improving that price or modifying those terms in some way to make them more palatable to the seller. So don't be surprised after you do your highest and best offers that there may be further negotiation. But if there is no further negotiation, if you don't hear from the listing agent within hours, or certainly within the next morning on the next business day, if you don't hear from the listing agent, you are out. You are not one of the highest and best offers. And my advice then would be to have your agent get on the phone and just say, listen, what do we need to do to make sure we are still in contention? And it may not be too late, even if you were not among those highest and best offers, to get back in the running if you feel you are able to compete. Another great idea is to actually give the seller some kind of a gift to make yourself stand out. Now, I'm not saying you buy them a Maserati or anything like that. I'm saying that you might want to send them, some cookies. You can have them delivered, maybe an edible arrangement of a nice, fruit bouquet, something like that. Just some small gift. If they have dogs and they love dogs, you might want to, give them a bag of doggy treats. I'm not saying you bring them over. Obviously not. You don't want to, intrude on the seller's privacy. You can have those delivered by hand. But anything you can do to show the seller that you really are very, very earnest, and to make yourself stand out in the sea of competition. But really, at the end of the day, if you want to win at the highest and best offer negotiation, you really need to have your offer be the highest and best. If your offer is not the highest and best, it doesn't matter really how good your communication is or what kind of gifts you may send to the seller. No, you really do need to give the best price and terms, but by staying in communication with the listing agent, it may be easier to figure out what those terms need to be. All right, now I'm going to tell you how you can win at highest and best offers no matter what. And listen, I have been in highest and best offer situations by this point hundreds of times, and so I know of what I speak. So the thing about highest and best offers is that you're not going to know what anybody else is offering at the time that you are asked to submit your highest and best offer. So let's just say that the listing price is, $1.5 million. And you say, well, you know what? I'm going to offer like $1.6 million because I think that's a really competitive price. That's what it's worth to me. That is my highest offer. And I say, okay, well, that's very fine and good. But let's just say that you write that offer up for $1.6 million, and then you find out that you don't get the property. And the reason why you didn't get the property is because it sold for $1.62 million. If you had known that the winning offer was $1.62 million and you offered $1.6 million, Would you have offered $1.63 million if you had known? And if the answer is yes, that you would have offered $1.63 million if you knew that the next highest offer was $1.62 million, then you did not really write your highest and best offer. You wrote an offer that you thought would win, but you were wrong and you weren't being honest because it wasn't your highest offer. So if you had known that 1.62 was the winning offer and you would have offered 1.3, what if you found out instead that actually the highest offer was $1.65 million? If you had known that the highest offer was $1.65 million, would you have offered $1.65 million? If the answer is yes, if you had known that you would have written a higher offer, then write that higher offer and keep on doing that exercise until you reach the point where, like, okay, if it sells for even $1 more than this amount, I don't care. I would not pay that much for that house. I would walk away and I would be fine because I would not pay more than X. That is the price that you need to offer for the property. And of course, you need to make sure that you are qualified for that and that you can afford it. But that is the only way that you can win at highest and best offers no matter what happens. Because even if you don't get it, at least you will not then have any regrets because you will know that you did in fact make your highest offer, just that somebody else out there was willing to pay more for it than you would. And then you just won't have that regret. And you can go out and you can get the next property, because I always find that if you didn't get the property, there's probably a reason for it. It means there's a better property out there for you somewhere. All right, well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you found this information interesting. And if you did, I'm guessing, just a guess, that you might also enjoy some of these videos over here. These are some of the most popular videos here on my YouTube channel, so please do take a look. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so very much for watching, and please stay tuned.